Russia's parliament has given its approval for military forces to invade Ukraine after President Putin declared Russian citizens in Crimea were at risk. Ukrainian forces are now on high alert with calls from political leaders for a general mobilization. Amid a flurry of diplomacy, the UN Security Council will meet in emergency session any moment. Across Ukraine, a series of pro-Russian protests are challenging the new interim government in Kiev. At least 7,000 people carrying Russian flags protested in the eastern city of Donetsk, demanding fresh local elections and secession from Ukraine. Further north, dozens were hurt when a pro-Russia protest in Ukraine's second largest city of Kharkiv turned violent. Those protesters now occupy the regional administration building, and some are reported brandishing pistols. There are also reports of pro-Russian protests in the town of Severodonetsk and the coastal city of Odessa. Our international editor, Lindsay Hilson, is in the Crimean capital of Simferopol.
Krishnan, it's been an extraordinary day. It's all gone according to the Russian, or should I say the Soviet playbook. First thing, Russian ministry says unknown gunmen from Kiev have attacked the Interior Ministry here in Simferopol. So he went to the Interior Ministry. Nobody there knew anything about it. But the new Crimean Prime Minister, he was just elected by deputies 4 days ago. He said, now we need Russia, Vladimir Putin, please come and protect us, send troops. Then the Duma in Moscow, they voted 100% in favor of Russian troops coming not just to Crimea, but to Ukraine. You can see how all of this is being orchestrated directly from Moscow, and we're seeing it unfold right here on the ground.
They're well armed and wearing the newest Russian uniforms, but no insignia. Today they were outside the Crimean parliament. Most were saying nothing, although at least one said he was from a Russian marine unit based up the road at Sevastopol. Crimeans who came out on the streets of Simferopol today were only too happy to see the troops and be seen with them. The new Crimean Prime Minister arrived at the Interior Ministry to cheers from the local defense force. Today he gave President Putin the cue he needs to intervene officially.
Recognizing my responsibility for the lives and safety of the people, I call upon Russia's Vladimir Putin to offer assistance in providing peace and order in the territory of the Autonomous Republic of Crimea.
Then the Berkut riot police showed up. The government in Kiev says some will be prosecuted for murdering protesters, so the Russian consulate in Crimea is giving them Russian passports.
These are the Berkut, the riot police. As you can see, they're being given a rapturous welcome. These people are here to guard the Interior Ministry and to welcome any Russian intervention.
They laid flowers to commemorate comrades killed in the protests in Kiev. The unit has officially been disbanded, but they've been seen today manning roadblocks in Crimea. In Moscow, deputies voted to send armed forces to Crimea to protect Russian citizens and servicemen stationed there.
The Duma Council adopted an appeal to the President of Russia, in which parliamentarians are calling on the President to take measures to stabilize the situation in Crimea and use all available means to protect the people of Crimea from tyranny and violence.
At a rally in Simferopol where they flew the striped pennant of World War II, the Great Patriotic War, a man shouted that foreign countries had sponsored the Kiev protests and the new government. President Obama's response last night to Russia's moves was mild, but here he's seen as a fascist. The sign says, "First we'll liberate Crimea from European Union occupation, then all of Ukraine." And sure enough, today pro-Russian demonstrators came out in the eastern city of Kharkiv. There were bloody clashes with Maidan protesters, those who've been on the streets for 3 months, calling for closer ties with Europe. A group of men broke into the regional government offices and raised the Russian flag. Similar demonstrations were staged in the eastern city of Donetsk, another centre of pro-Russian feeling where many are nostalgic for the old Soviet Union. This crisis is not confined to Crimea. The Russian parliament approved sending troops not to Crimea, but more broadly to Ukraine. Western governments have been wrong-footed. Emergency meetings are being called, the UN, EU foreign ministers. But it's the Russians and President Putin who are calling the shots.